Hey everybody, Karen Anderson here with Aortic Hope for our week in review. If you're not familiar with the week in review, it is when I go over everything we did last week, but I'm giving you guys a chance to interact with me and kind of give me your opinion, your thoughts. Hey, if you've got questions, I'll find answers because I am not a medical professional. And just remember, any of your chats and things you put down there live out here forever. So, say nice things. Say hi. Hi would be great. But before we get started, please click like, click subscribe, click the little bell so you're notified every time we go live because wait to hear about the things that are coming up this month. We have so many live events, you don't want to miss them and you don't want to have to remember. So if you click the bell, it'll do the work for you. So let's get started. It's a little weird, wild day. It's so pretty out, but I have so much stuff to do. I haven't even made it outside and I just look like a hot mess because I couldn't bear to blow dry my hair. Do you ever have those days where you're like, I'm running on not fumes and definitely not empty, but I'm just kind of on this like low grade, like one, like I'm just on one. Like if you drove stick shift, I'd be in one. And that's kind of where I am. So I don't have a lot of reserves. So I couldn't spend it on the blow drying of the hair. I just had to spend it on the like getting dressed. That's what I had and throw some mascara on. That's about all I had today. Just a weird day. And that's because I had a cortisone shot. We will talk about that interesting shot. It's like the second one was very different. And I'm so happy with the results, but we'll get there. All right, let's talk about Medical Monday, you guys. This is great. This is great. So, this was the first Medical Monday of the month of March. So, we had such a busy February with Women's Heart Month. We had Heart Valve Disease Awareness. We had I think it was Marfan Syndrome Month. There's so much going on in February, and now we're off to spring. We have sprung forward, everybody. I love springing forward. I love getting that extra hour of sleep. Is what it seems like. I know you would say that on fallback, but no, I like it because I get an extra hour of sun time at the end of the day. It stays darker longer. I love it. It's because like summer's right around the corner. All right, so we're going to talk about how when it comes to heart and aortic health, early detection is key. It's really, really, really important. So, with so many tests that exist out there, it can be really overwhelming to kind of know what each of them do, right? So, we're going to talk about a very quick and simple overview of some of the more common tests that the doctors will order for your heart, your aorta, and overall cardiovascular health. So here's common tests and what they check. Let's start off with what a cardiac catheterization, or commonly referred to as a cardiac cath. What is that? And I'm wondering how many of you have had it. I've had one. I think I've had two. I've had two. I've had two. They are used to test primarily for coronary artery disease, and that would be a blockage that is happening in one of your heart arteries. That's its more common reason. But it can also help to determine if certain interventions are necessary, like a stent, or if you need to have a bypass while you're having any other surgery. So, a lot of times when there is a planned um, aortic valve or aneurysm repair, I've been hearing a lot of people out there get these cardiac caths done. And I'm now understanding it's because they want to know before they go in, before they do open heart, is there anything else they need to address? I mean, while you're open, if they can do it, right? Or if it's going to minimize potential complications, then do it. I am not a doctor, but this is my assumption. I think I might be right. Okay. Just saying, if you don't pass a stress test and you're having issues, one might prescribe a cardiac cath to take a look inside and see if there's any problems. I had one through the groin. We're going to talk about that, I think, in a little bit. And I also had one through my wrist. So hopefully we talk about the different methods. We'll see what this article does. All right, so here's another very common test. I'm sure all of you, if you have been diagnosed with aortic disease, you are very familiar with an echocardiogram, otherwise known as an echo. All right, and this basically assesses the left ventricular ejection fraction. Did the wrong vowels there. So left ventricular ejection fraction. And that measures how well your heart pumps. And a lot of times people get freaked out when the answer is 60 to 65%. I don't know why, but that's considered really, really good. So for the first time, 100 isn't the goal. 60 to 65, that's a really good number. 55 to 60, that's an acceptable number. Talk to your personal physician about your score to determine if that is an acceptable number to you, or at what point are we now looking at the potential of some degree of heart failure? Okay. It will also help to evaluate your valve's function and detects if there's any leaks or regurgitation, we've talked about this, or narrowing, which would be stenosis. So that's what an echocardiogram helps to do. There's also pulmonary function tests. I've had one of those as well. Okay. Wait, look, hey guys, in the beginning, I went to every ologist. I had every test. I didn't understand my body. And if I was having problems breathing or I was winded or whatever, they sent me for all these tests. So I've tried them. And the PFT or pulmonary function test, it basically measures your lung functions and how well you're breathing. It's really kind of cool. You're in this big, like, encapsulated small room where it feels like there's no air, but there's air. And I don't know. So it's pretty interesting test. But basically, it's important for those that have a heart lung condition or before certain heart surgeries. But they also will perform these tests again if you're having some difficulties breathing. And they want to kind of make sure that your lungs are working well in conjunction with your heart. Okay, here's another one you might have heard of, carotid screening. That is an ultrasound. And I believe a lot of times they will do that when you have an echo. It just means moving the wand to your carotid arteries. So this will check for narrowing or blockages in the carotid arteries, which are the ones that come off of the arch and supply the blood to the brain. And it helps assess your risk for stroke as well. Then there is the golden standard CT scan, and this is for cardiac and aortic imaging. Although you can also do a CT for your abdominal area and pelvic area, which would be important for those individuals who have a type B dissection, because your dissection then travels down into the descending thoracic and into the abdominal area. And if it branches off, they want to do a CT to check to make sure there's no aneurysms and the dissection has healed nicely. So this is going to provide a detailed look at the heart and the aorta, and it's basically checking for aneurysms, dissections, and any plaque buildup. It also can help guide treatment when it comes to aortic disease. That would be your CT. So why do these tests matter? Oh, and let me say as a side note, if you are someone who is highly allergic to the dye, the contrast that comes with a CT, that does not mean you can never have a CT. First, if it's super important, they may pre-medicate you. From what I hear now, some doctors are also willing to have a dry CT scan. That means without any dye. Then there's also the option of an MRA, or that would be an angiogram, but an MRI, something that's going to show all of the same types of films that a CT does. You just can't really do MRI of chest, abdomen, and pelvic. Is going to take a long time. So they may just do one or two of the three. It's all by case basis, but it's also an acceptable test to have performed. All right. Why do these tests matter? So each of these tests play a very specific role in identifying silent or developing cardiovascular issues before they actually become life-threatening. And if your doctor orders one, please don't panic. It's okay. Early detection and prevention is key. It's so important. So stay proactive about your heart and your aortic health, and always don't be afraid to ace this healthcare journey. You want to advocate for yourself and ask questions and communicate and educate about how you're feeling regarding these tests, right? It's about education and communication. It's all these things. So ask the questions if you're unsure about this test. And we also ask the community, if you've ever had these tests before, drop a comment. Let people know what having the test was like, because they're very non-invasive except for the cardiac catheterizations. Those would be the ones that were a little bit more invasive. But even with those, which I see we didn't get into exactly how these tests were done, and we may this week, I haven't jumped ahead yet, you're relatively comfortable. They tend to give just enough medication that you're not knocked out, but you're hopefully not going to remember anything that happened. They definitely don't want you to have conversations because they need to focus, and they don't want you jumping or moving around. So you're sedated right in that sweet spot where you might open an eye, but you're not going to care or be impacted by what you're experiencing. So yeah, we'll see if we get into a lot more detail about these tests, but that's kind of those are kind of the most well-known ordered tests that you're going to find with aortic disease. And again, if you have any questions, please be sure to ask them of your physician, and they will go into them in great detail. That
Good
is Medical
job.
Monday. Thanks so much. Who's
Hi,
with us
hi
today?
Tom. Hi Velda. Hi Christina.
Hey, Tom. Hey, Velda. Hey, Christina. Okay. It's a mouthful. Don't forget your water when you have a mouthful to because now I'm have dry mouth. All right. We're moving on to Topic Tuesday, everybody, and we're going to be discussing the echoes. So it looks like we're breaking them down over the next couple weeks. Okay, so as you heard in Medical Monday, we know that the echo or echocardiography, it's a crucial tool when it comes to management of aortic disease and certain cardiac conditions. And it's a form of imaging that actually uses ultrasound waves to create detailed images of the heart and all of the nearby structures. So that's going to include the aorta. And while a CT, as we know, still provides um, it's the golden test, right? It provides the still images of the structures inside the body. The echo actually has moving images, so it's showing things moving in real time. Now, when you have what is it? It's a cardiac MRI, right? Cardiac MRI. That too can show things moving as well. I'm pretty sure. Gated CTs are that's a certain situation where you want to make sure that we have electrodes put on your chest so that the technician can determine when your heart's beating, because we don't like movement when creating still images, because that movement can actually throw off the size of your aorta if we're catching it in a beat or in between a beat. It can make differences. So that's why you want it gated. Now, when it comes to the echo, we want to see things moving. We want to see a real-time video of your chest. It kind of gives the doctors informations about the size, the shape, the movement of all of the heart structures, right? You're going to see the different chambers. You're going to see all four valves. This creates a much more interesting, important picture to the physician. What it's really showing is so it's ultrasonography. It's just a wand. I'm sure we've all had them. We know it's non-invasive. We know it's not uncomfortable, right? You're going to spend most of your time laying on the side. You're going to come over onto your back. At one point, maybe tilt your neck and do a little sniff, which helps to catch the blood flow. I don't really know why they make you do it, but it's kind of cool. I don't really understand. I never bothered to ask, but I will. So the echo uses sound waves to differentiate the tissues that's in the chest based on the ability to basically transmit sound, which is kind of cool. The echo can also measure the speed and the direction of blood flow, which is really important. And that's going to be the flow through the chambers of the heart and into the aorta. So this is known as Doppler imaging. They do the same type of imaging if you thought you might have a blood clot and they need to check vessels in the groin or the thigh or the leg. They're using that same type of Doppler imaging. So when you do this imaging, it's basically looking for problems with your heart valves, such as problematic backflow. What is that called? Regurgitation. So that's what it can see. It can actually see it. And if you ever feel interested enough, ask the technician to show you, because you will see different colors on the screen if you ever bother to look. And you can actually see what backflow looks like if you experience it. So they'll show you, they'll say, hey, this is the atrium, this is the ventricle, this is left, this is right. Here's your aortic valve. It's pretty interesting to take a look at. So because this echo shows the video of the heart's function, measurements can actually be taken in real time and show the doctor how strong your heart actually is. How strong it is when it's contracting, which is known as your ejection fraction. And we talked about that a little bit as far as that magic sweet spot number of 60 to 65. Additionally, any microbubbles can be injected during the echo imaging to look for a small passageway from the right side of the heart to the left side of the heart. That would be a hole in the heart. Okay. Never had that. I don't really think that it's something that any of us just have typically. You would need to have an IV. I've never had that, but I'm sure there are people when they have to look for that have that kind of additional fun stuff added to their test. So here we go. Here's some imaging right here. Okay. So I'm not really sure what this is showing. We're going to look and see. Hopefully they refer to it. But it looks like here we've got 4 chambers of the heart. That's a really great picture of the heart. Very clear. Don't ask me to tell you what those chambers are. Don't ask me. I don't remember heart. I don't remember. I can't tell you. But I know this is a valve. I know there's a valve here. Pretty sure there's a valve here. Could be a valve here. Yeah, and this looks like it probably, I'm going to guess, could be the aortic valve. I don't know what it is, but it could be. And here, this to me, I'm not a doctor. If I had to guess, I would say this looks like it could be backflow into a chamber. Could be normal. I have no idea. But I'm fascinated. If they don't give me the explanation, I'm going to try to find it now that I want to know. All right. I digress. All right, so echo again is used for diagnosis. It's used for monitoring and planning treatment of various cardiac conditions. It can be performed outpatient. Sometimes it is performed if you happen to be in the hospital. It can be performed inpatient. It can be performed at your bedside. So that's how portable the machinery is. It's actually also used in an operating room. If there's a certain condition or certain situation, they may say do a quick echo before they move into doing anything else, right? It's generally separated into two different types of echoes. Now, this not everybody has had, but there is the transthoracic echo or TTE, okay? And then there's the transesophageal TEE. Two different ones, okay? The one that we usually have that sits outside of our body is going to be the TTE, transthoracic echocardiography. That's most commonly performed. Okay, that's the one where you're going to be in a gown and they're going to have the probe on the outside. It's placed on the outside of the chest wall. Images are taken through the chest. There's a little bit of warm jelly. Okay, very simple, very non invasive, and usually provides a pretty satisfactory image. So here we go. This is what somebody would look like. You have your computer, you have your physician, you've got your patient. As I mentioned, you're going to be laying on the side. You got your heart right here. They're using the transducer on the chest. And here they've got some electrodes on the chest so they can capture your heart rate and your heartbeats while they're doing it. Okay, and it's displaying here. Um, Sometimes the technologist or the radiologist is on the opposite side. It could just be that they're right-handed or left-handed, but I know I've been able to watch on the screen. So depends on how the room is set up. Now, a TEE or transesophageal echocardiography or cardiogram, so that's a really special probe. And those happen for certain circumstances because that gets inserted into your mouth through your throat and eventually goes as deep as your stomach. So this is not like when you have a well, it is. When you have a colonoscopy and then they give you an endoscopy, they're putting a tube into your mouth and it's going down your esophagus and it goes into your stomach and looks all around for ulcers and can take biopsies. So this is a different type of probe, but it is still going into your mouth, through your throat, down as deep as your stomach. And the reason is because it actually goes like right behind the heart. It's as close as you can get to the heart without doing something that's super invasive, right? So you can take pictures so much closer, which is pretty cool. So it prevents the ribs and other structures from blocking the heart and impacting the quality of the image, which is the most important advantage of doing a TEE. You're really going to get super detailed imaging with this. The TEE device actually sits at the stomach. It sits in the esophagus and the stomach, and it's much more invasive than the typical outside TTE. It requires you to have to fast, which you don't have any preparation for a regular TTE or regular outside the body echo. There is no prep. But when you do a TEE, there is fasting that's involved, and that's because you have to have some degree of anesthesia. It would be horrible to have something stuck down your throat like that. So you get to be knocked out. A little bit of propofol, I don't know, could be Versed, I'm not sure. So you have to fast a few hours before. It's not the kind of test that somebody can say, let's just go get a quick TEE. Nothing quick about it if you've had anything to eat or drink. So this is the reason why when a TTE or an outside of the body echo is inconclusive or when you need more detailed imaging, um, that's when they go to the TEE. It's also used in the operating room during more cardiac surgical procedures since the patient's already under anesthesia. And here's a picture of what that might look like. So they've put this into your esophagus. It goes down. Look at that. It's right behind the heart before it ever gets into the tummy. Sits right there. Got to go past that heart to go down into the stomach. And it's showing the pictures right up on the screen. I mean, you really do not have to worry about, your sternum, your breastplate, your ribs. You are just right there. So it's pretty detailed, but again, you've got to be put to sleep. So I know a lot of patients before they're going to have open heart surgery sometimes are asked to have a TEE done, and they usually do it once they've been admitted prior to surgery because then the hospital can control when you're eating, when you're not, et cetera. Okay, and then they can schedule that test. So let's talk a little bit more about the echocardiography and the aorta. So in terms of the aorta, the echo is mainly used to look at the function of the aortic valve. That's the main reason to have an echo. People want to look at the aortic valve and how much blood is flowing through the aortic valve, um, through the opening. Is it leaky? Is it a bicuspid valve? So many questions get answered when you use the TTE on the outside to take a look at the aorta. But the TEE can also be used to measure the size of the aorta, but it's less accurate than a CT scan. I mean, and think about this. You're trying to measure the size of the aorta, but like you're like on the back end, which I know the aorta goes in the back, right? It goes up and around the heart and towards the back. But the CT, when it comes to measuring the aorta itself, the CT scan is going to be far better. But when it comes to looking at the valve, your echo is going to be far better. Okay. Um, so it's going to be less accurate than a CT scan, which is why CT measurements are usually used to help treat um, whatever your issue might be with your aorta. It just really helps create the treatment decisions. During cardiac surgery, an echo will tell the doctor what part of the aorta is free from debris and which area is safe to clamp. Another fact I never knew. That's a new fact for me today. So, in the case of an aortic dissection, an echo is very useful in making sure instruments are placed in the correct part of the aorta, which would be the true lumen. Okay, remember, because the dissection creates two separate channels of the aorta, a true lumen, which means the blood is flowing to the other vessels throughout the body, and the false lumen, which means it leads to nowhere or it clots off. So they want to put the instruments in the true lumen when they're making these decisions in repair and not what is known as the false lumen. So in other words, it's extremely important tool when it comes to physicians working in surgery. They use an echo often when it comes time to take care of patients with aneurysms or dissections. So again, let's talk a little bit about what to expect when it comes to an echocardiogram, even though they're really, really easy when it's a TTE. Whether you have a TTE or a TEE, they're generally considered very safe procedures and very well tolerated. So for the TTE, again, you have to be able to lie on a table when the technician will move a device over your chest and gather all the different images and angles that are needed. I will say, after having a dissection, it can be a little challenging and a little sore if you need to have an echo. Think about it. You've just had your sternum cut open, it's healing. And I remember the very first time I had to have my echo after that. And I was more scared with the MRI. I thought that my sternum wires were going to explode out of my chest like a horror movie. And I used to make them roll up towels and put them down the center of my chest when I'd have an MRI. It didn't do anything, but it made me feel better. And I did that for about the first year or two. Crazy how the mind works, but it can be uncomfortable. Sometimes for women, a lot of women may want to request a female technician because your breasts, not that they'll be exposed, but they're going to usually have to work to maneuver around a breast or two or both to get that wand in there. So it's just something to think about if it's your first time having an echo. But it typically lasts anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. If you are a hairy chested man, you don't have to worry. None of this is sticky. It's just warm gel, and they'll give you a nice rag to wipe yourself off. It comes right off. It's water soluble. You don't have to worry. Okay. This is not like electrodes, and then you have to rip them off your skin. I know that has to be very, very uncomfortable. I'm so sad for you. It's really not that big a deal in the scheme of things, but it's a pretty big deal. I get it. Now, if you're going to have the transesophageal echocardiogram or the TEE, now that's, again, like we talked about it, there's a period of time where you're not eating or drinking because you need to have a mild sedation. And sometimes they give you a numbing treatment, whether that's something you're going to gargle with or they're going to spray down your throat. It might be nasty at first while you're still awake, but you're not going to be thinking about it by the time you wake up. You're not going to know. I've had a gazillion endoscopies with my colonoscopies, and I always tell the doctor the same thing. Make sure you give me the endoscopy before you go up in the colonoscopy. It's a joke that I'm sure they've heard a million times, obviously, and they use two different tubes. So who am I kidding? But they do spray your throat, right? And then you go to sleep. So this procedure takes a little bit longer. You're going to be monitored closely throughout. And during cardiac surgery, it's placed after you're fully under general anesthesia. But before surgery begins, it stays in place until after the heart is restarted. and the heart-lung machine is no longer needed. And that's because it's very easy to be able to just turn it on and take a picture if they need it. So we're talking about a very thin, flexible tube, okay? I agree with Parab. This is a lot of information for one day, but interesting information, right? I hope you learned a lot about echocardiography and maybe it doesn't seem as overwhelming. And that was our topic Tuesday.
Excellent
There it
work.
was. Thank you.
Molly has joined the chat.
Hey, Molly. Yeah, that's a lot, but good stuff. Good visuals, very easy. And then, it goes back to there's so many easy tests out there that people can have to as preventative measures, right? As a diagnostic tool, mammogram, colonoscopy, echo. We're talking easy stuff here, and if a doctor orders it, there's nothing to be fearful of except results. And the results are already decided. You just don't know the answer yet. I strongly suggest you have the test done if they're required, because these are life-saving tools. These are tools to help get to an answer quicker so that they can make a decision for a course of treatment, not things to fool around with. All right, let's get off the heavy stuff and let's talk about Feel Good Friday. This was the weekend we sprung forward, right? Days are getting warmer, days are getting longer, air is getting warmer. Perfect time to shake off the winter blues and embrace all the possibilities. Here's to blooming into something new and exciting this spring. Let's spring forward with energy, with optimism, and all the good vibes that the spring season has to offer. What are you guys looking forward to in the spring? I will pose that question to the chat. What's everybody looking forward to? I am looking forward
I'm just ready
to.
for it to not be cold. I'm tired of the cold. I'm over the cold. I hate the cold.
You're probably also hoping to be an easy spring. I know you and your allergies. Like, I feel bad for
No,
people
no,
this
no.
time of year and fall.
Already the cars are coated,
Really?
like
Oh,
coated. They're coated. I'm talking.
yeah.
I'm talking the full dusting. The car looks yellow or green, depending on.
Gross.
Yeah, it's full coating. It's ridiculous
Mm.
already.
Well, I was reading some things about those Joro spiders, those big yellow, look like little bananas, and they like kind of fly through the air with their webs. I knew that they arrived, but I have not seen any. Trust me,
Hold on a
everyone will
second.
know.
Hold on a second. You want to catch me
What?
up here? There are flying spiders invading
Oh,
us.
yes, there are.
What?
They've been working their way up the coast. Yes, I think they're called Joro, Joro. You can go look it up.
No.
But they're slightly big and they fling their web out like Spider-Man, like, and then they just fly through the air. I mean, that's what most spiders do. You see webs out there. That's, what they do. But these are big suckers. Big suckers.
All right.
So we
So
just left the spotted lanternflies, which we were forced to kill because they're so invasive. So I had 3 years of those, and if this is what I have, I'm going to lose my mind. I'll do
Velda
spiders.
says warmer weather and no ice and snow. I concur, Velda.
Heck
Christina
yeah, I totally
says
concur.
rodeo, spring, and wildflowers. Christina has such a
Yes,
wonderful life.
she does. I love
She's got
wildflowers.
like a
Me
giant
too.
farm full of pets. It's crazy.
I think we should like go to Christina's farm and just pet. I want to pet like baby goats, and my dream is to pet and hug a baby Highland cow. That's what I want. Goat yoga. Yeah. Run amok with a bunch of puppies all over me in a field of wildflowers. It all sounds divine. With no spiders, of course. Phew. I caught a spider in my kitchen. I was the first day it got warm, the first day it turned 60. I'm beep bopping down the stairs and I stopped dead in my tracks. This thing is about the size of a 50-cent piece. Pretty good, decent size. I cannot believe I was able to like get around it, but as I'm moving around it, it's turning with me. Okay. I'm not going to curse, but I had a good name for it. And I grabbed the Tupperware dish and somehow was able to capture it under there and went out about my day and told my husband, if you want to set him free, he's under the Tupperware. Come home at lunch. And he did. He
So
set
you
him free.
just captured a spider?
Yeah.
That's what you did?
I can't believe I did that. Josh, there was one day, and I play it on Facebook every year as a memory, but there's one where I go off in a tirade of very, very bad words. But one day I was on the sofa and I happened to see something move the corner of my eye, and there was a spider. No, I am not joking, but the size of my hand spread. Okay. I jump off that sofa. I'm like like dying, just dying. I grab the kitchen chair, I sit there, and I've got the phone. I have to keep my eye on it because now it's on the outside of the cushion. So I can't lose sight of this because this I could put a leash on and walk it. They're so big sometimes that I feel like somebody let them loose from a tank and now they just live in the house. And I called my husband and he said, I can't come home right now. I got a client coming. And I sat there for over 3 hours with my eye on that hand-sized spider until he came home and he did. He got it in a big Tupperware too. He shifted in there and took it out and put it on the neighbor's yard. I will not tell which neighbor, but it was not the nice neighbor, it was the other neighbor, and put it out on their yard. Big, monster size, completely unacceptable. Yeah, murdering type spider. It's bad. That's why I won't go to Australia. I just can't do it. Huntsman, I can't. It would give me a heart attack if I saw one of those crawling out from underneath the toilet. I'd freak out. I would be the naked lady running out of the house. I can't do it. I cannot. I can't even
That's
talk about it. I can't do it.
This is how I know. Like, if we ever go to war with Russia, they're just, or not Russia, but Australia, they're just going to export boxes with holes in them and send spiders just randomly all over the country.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we'll know that the
Hmm.
first thing has been fired. I can't imagine having something like that in the house. And these people pet them and they treat them like
Well,
puppies. I
no.
know, it's crazy.
No, no, no. I take great issue. I've seen a snake in my house. I've seen one on my deck. I had a big one. I thought it was an anaconda. It was a water snake, but it was thick. And that was in my backyard hanging out next to a black snake. Like they didn't even care. They were just sharing the same, space. I was freaking out about it. I've seen the bat hanging from the house, like all of that, totally fine. Love, hate. I hate nature, but okay. I like the deer. I like the baby turtles. I like the baby rabbits. That's all fun. You throw a spider in there, so all bets are off. It's unacceptable. Sorry. Mm-mm. Nope. Nope. One came out of my shirt sleeve one day. I was sitting on the sofa and I felt something. I shook it down and I saw it. The
A
fit that
snake
ensued.
or a
No, oh, no,
spider?
no, little tiny spider, little tiny spider. And what ensued was a whole barrage of bad words and crying and why me and oh, I lost my mind. Yeah, it's not good.
Molly says, I have a funny huntsman story. Before that, she says, party at Christina's petting zoo.
Yes,
Hmm.
I can't wait to hear the funny huntsman. How can funny and huntsman ever be in the same sentence?
It's
I'm
probably
intrigued.
because some friend of hers had like a bow tie on it and bought it a chew toy and had a little doggy house that it went
Uh-huh.
into on a
Mhm.
pillow and a
Probably.
sandbox. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. That's bananas to me. One of my favorite
Yeah.
my favorite things about the huntsman spider, like this, there was a little video on Instagram. I'm pretty sure it was, and there's a huntsman spider hanging on the back bumper of a car.
Mm.
Right, so the guy rolls up and he rolls down his window. He's like, "Hey man, you got a huntsman on your back," in his Australian accent. And the guy goes, "Yeah, yeah, he loves coming to work with me."
My gosh. That's horrible. Hey, you know what? Speaking of Australia, I'm hoping all of our friends in Brisbane
Yeah, he
fared
hasn't
well
checked in with
from
us.
their cyclone. Yeah, that was pretty bad, right?
I hope
Yeah.
not.
I hope it wasn't too bad. All right, we're moving on to Saturday. Hey, guess what? We started a campaign a few years ago, but then we had such an influx of survivors wanting to tell their story that we kind of like lost sight of it. And then we went to this great idea of replaying some survivor series from the past and seeing some of your favorites. But we want to take it back to that original concept, which was where are they now? Like, where are you guys now? Those of you who shared your stories, we are all dying to know where you are now. So many of you share your stories so soon, relatively soon after having surgery or dissection or diagnosis. Like, where are you? We want to know where you're at. We want to know what's happening. We want to know what your update is. Like, have you had all these milestones in your life you care to share? Like, let the world know how far you've come every day is a blessing, right? But if it's been a while, give us the part two, right? So, has your life changed since you first shared your story? Have you had any subsequent surgeries? Hopefully, not. But what are some of the messages you would tell the newbies of the community? And if you're interested in being part of this special type of survivor series, even if you're a caregiver, we want to get you set it up for that recorded or live event. So if you would also rather submit your update to us in written form, that's cool too. We're just going to have some funky computer voice read it, but we still want to hear your updated story. So there is a specific link there to the Where Are They Now campaign. And again, we'd love to hear from you. Always, if you've not been a part of the Survivor series, we want you to be the shining light in someone's life. Trust me, it's going to be so validating for others. It's going to be therapeutic for you. But if you have shared, please drop us a line and fill out this link and let us know where you are now. Did I say let us know where you are now? I think I said it 100 times. What is that wheeze? That little wheeze in my laughter? That's spring. Just want you to know. All right. I was just thinking about this. I have to order some more of these. Patient awareness posters. Have you guys seen these? Hopefully you have. I was told the other day that someone saw these hanging up in their patient exam room. So if you're somebody who was thinking, I would love to help with Aortic Hope, maybe promote the organization, get the word out a little bit more, but I don't know that I'm ready to be like a volunteer and be on the hook for anything that with any regularity. Hey, I've got the perfect thing for you to do. Share these aortic disease awareness posters, aortic hope awareness posters. So what they are, it's a poster. You get a set of 10 free from us that you can take to your physician's office. And we're asking the physicians to place these in the exam room. See, there was a time where we had something called tableside rack cards. It was a brilliant idea. It lasted for many, many years until 2020 when COVID took everything, including People magazine, out of the waiting rooms. But we used to have our brochures right in the waiting rooms with some Lawrence Hope brochures attached. After COVID, we were like, that was so silly. Why aren't we hanging these up in the exam room? Sometimes we're in there waiting for at least a good 10, 15 minutes. So, we really should have something to look at. I'm staring at the posters, I'm playing with the model heart. Just imagine it. If you're a new person in the community and you see this poster, it goes through exactly who Aortic Hope is, what our mission is, and a testimonial, right, about us. We have QR codes so that people can join our support groups right away. QR codes to download the book, the dissection book. We will now have that QR code lead people to have their choice of dissection or disease. Am I correct in saying that? Is that the wish, the dream? I think.
Are
I
you
think I'm correct.
asking me? This is the
I
first I've heard of
am.
changing the QR codes. If
Well, no, I'm
anything, I
thinking we
would add a
won't.
QR code. We would have one for aortic dissection, the patient guide, one for aortic disease, the patient guide.
We're going to see how this all going to turn out.
Maybe a third one for both. Hard to say.
We will see how this all work out. But they're going to go in your exam rooms. Could go in your local gym. Could go in your work. They just can go up anywhere. It's an easy way for aortic hope disease patients. I'm sorry, for aortic disease patients to learn about aortic hope, including their caregivers, family, and friends. So if you want people to start receiving education today, then you need to promote the organization and put up these posters, and they're free. So all you need to do is use the link, fill out the form, and we'll send you 10, and you can start promoting the organization ASAP. ASAP. We also have them in Spanish. So if that's important to your community, we can get those to you right away as well. ASAP. Just had to say it. All right, everybody. We're almost wrapping up. We're going to talk about some of the events. And then I have one thing I do want to talk about. We're going to talk about events. I'm going to give you a preview, and we're going to reiterate something. All right. We've got the aortic artist. Wait, don't we have something? No. Oh, yeah. We have the aortic artist. That's happening tomorrow night at 7 p.m. before our 10 p.m. support group meeting, general support group meeting that happens. So aortic artist is going to be actually doing some art on canvas. I have to fill this out. I can't remember if I already filled it out, but it's changed. This is what we're doing. We did brush strokes the last lesson, but now we're going to learn how to paint with our fingers and Q-tips. So we will be creating a nice spring picture, daisies. So easy. It's so fun. It'll make a great gift. Might make a great gift for Mother's Day if you do it now, something for Easter, for the holiday, whatever. Just something to spruce up your room. Easy peasy, regular acrylic paint. You've got 10 tools right here, plus some Q-tips. You'll be good to go. Aortic athletes will be joining Aortic Hope and interviewing Dr. Prakash. I know we've got him on twice this month, but this one with aortic athletes is specifically focusing on the aortic dissection exercise. What is the word? Research study he did. Yes, that's the word. And so if you have questions related to exercise specifically, you want to give those to him during that session, you can join on live. Then we have our Therapeutic Thursday. I don't know if we have a special guest for this Thursday. I haven't found out yet, but I will be. There is information in this link if you would like to be a special guest and come on with John and talk about your experience from a mental health or emotional perspective when it comes to aortic disease. Please click that form and register, and someone will be in touch with you to get you hooked up with joining us live on our YouTube channel. We have our every other month grief support group meeting that is happening this week on Thursday. And then we still have some of the standard stuff happening this month: qigong, caregiver support group meeting. We do have our Ask a Doctor with Dr. Prakash. That happens every other month. That is on the 18th. That starts at 6:30. That's a ton of fun because there will be a post for those of you on Facebook. You will have a chance to post your public questions there with a link to ask anonymously. While that's happening, I am talking about them live with Terry Cook here on our YouTube channel and sharing those responses with all of you here. In addition, if you watching YouTube, because you're not part of Facebook, have a question, you can chat them on this public page. Remember, anybody will be able to see it, and you can also use the anonymous link. I will then be taking those questions. They will be put on Facebook, where I will then share the doctor's answer with you here on YouTube. It's like simulcast. It's kind of cool. 2 for 1, right? And then we do have a live event coming up with Dr. Pedro Caterino. I just got to get the final details on that. He is going to be going live with us on the 25th at 7 p.m. And he is out of Cedar Sinai, out of California. So we're really super excited to do that event with him. And what's not on here that needs to be added is we have a fundraiser happening with a 90s band called As If. They are based out of the Charleston, South Carolina area. They will be doing a performance, doing their gig from 3 to 7 on the 22nd of March. And if you're in the Charleston area, we would love to see you at the Palmetto Brewing Company. Members from Aortic Hope will be there, and it'll just going to be a ton of fun. We'd love for you to have a chance to meet each other and hang out with all of us. And that is what we've got going on in March so far, because things can always change. Hey, listen, I want to reiterate to you guys that we have, I'm grabbing it right now. Grabbing, yeah, grabbing. We have our seatbelt covers. Okay. Our seatbelt covers are $18. That includes shipping. They're 23 international. They come in 2 colors. We streamlined to red or black. Those were the most popular colors that we had out of the red, black, and yellow. We took the red and the black. They are a cotton material. It's very easy to wipe. They are Velcroed on your seatbelt, your backpack, your bike bar, dog leash. Inside, there is a plastic area here where there is a card, an emergency card that you can put down your medications, your in case of emergency number, your doctor's number, whatever you'd like. 2 sayings. We have aortic, we have medical alert here, and then we also have where's my other one? Well, this one says aortic dissection because it was a sample, but it actually says aortic disease. And that's because whether it's a dissection, you have an aneurysm, or you have something wrong with your valve, it's all part of aortic disease. And it just made it a lot easier, a lot more cost efficient to just have aortic disease or medic alert. These are really important. This is why I want you guys to share these links, because other people that might have type 2 diabetes, or let's say you know someone with Ehlers-Danlos, not just vascular, Loeys-Dietz, Marfan syndrome, pacemaker, blood thinners, whatever their reasons are. Having a medical alert, again, in red or black, is very helpful. These can go on any seatbelt. Again, they're super easy to take on and off. They're very comfortable. They're very thin, lightweight. They just sit right there across your chest, and they're yours with an $18 donation or 23. That's what I wanted to make you aware of. Okay, that's what I've got. That's my today. Any questions or chats or things going on?
No, no, that's your day.
Telling you, it's my day. It's because the weather is getting pretty. But that's all right. I might have a trick or two up my sleeve soon. So we'll get everybody, joining us and getting them all riled up. I will say the second book is soon to be coming out. We're one step closer with aortic disease, the patient guide. It seems like it's been forever, but you know what? That was a long year. Lots of patients and caregivers in the community writing that book from scratch, plus med students. Then we had to have it clinically reviewed, then re edited, then reviewed again, and then re edited. And now it is out to be endorsed by the STS and the SVS. And we are waiting now for those final stamps of approval so we can take it back to the publisher, have those logos popped on for the STS and SVS, and then make that book available to all of you. So we're super excited, proud of everybody's hard work, and I will keep you posted. But my goal is to be able to at least give you guys that QR code so you can download that book soon, hopefully by the end of the month. Fingers crossed. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Please don't forget the live events we have. You won't forget if you click subscribe and click the bell, but definitely click like. Thank you so much for joining. And don't forget to share this because someone will find something that we've talked about today very interesting and important. And as always, I'll talk to you guys soon, same time next week. Have a good one. Bye bye.